All right, let's get into it. For years, one of the internet's favorite rabbit holes has been all about a certain cartoon family from Springfield. But today, we're not just looking at what people are saying. We're digging into the how and the why, using a documentary that claims it has the answers.
So, The Simpsons has been on our screens for what, over 30 years now? But a whole lot of people think it's been doing more than just making us laugh. You've probably heard the theories, from time travel to some kind of secret government plan. So, what's the deal? Is it all just a crazy coincidence? Or is there something else going on here?
Let's start with a few of the examples from our source that really make you go, Picture this. It's 1993, and The Simpsons airs an episode that parodies Siegfried and Roy, showing them getting attacked by their white tiger on stage. Well, 10 years later, in 2003, the unthinkable happens. Roy Horn is tragically mauled by his own tiger during a live show.
Or what about this one? In a 1998 episode, you can see a sign outside Fox Studios that clearly says a division of the Walt Disney Company. Back then, it was just a funny joke about a corporate behemoth. But then, fast forward 19 years, and it actually happens. Disney buys Fox.
And it's not just big events, it's technology too. In an episode from way back in 1995, a character uses a watch with voice commands. I mean, it's a full-on smartwatch, decades before they were a real thing we all have. So how are we, as critical observers, supposed to even begin processing all this?
Well, according to the documentary we're looking at, when our brains encounter these so-called predictions, we tend to go down one of two very different paths. And there's one famous example that shows the split perfectly.
Okay, so let's break this down. On the left, you've got the rational take. Kamala Harris wore purple, which in politics is a classic symbol for unity, mixing red and blue. The Simpsons writers just use that same common symbolism for Lisa. Simple, logical. But then you have the dot connectors on the right, and they're saying, whoa, hang on a second. It's not just the suit. The episode also mentions if President Trump has Lisa taking office in a future election year and even shows her eating a vegan meal, which Harris is known for. So the question is, at what point does it stop being a coincidence and start looking like a pattern?
Now, that rational side of the argument, it has a pretty powerful tool on its side. Good old-fashioned math and a little thing called survivorship bias. You see, over its 36-year run, the show has made an estimated 1.28 million jokes.
So when you think about that staggering number, you have to ask, isn't it statistically inevitable that some of those gags would just accidentally look like the future? It's like throwing a million darts at a wall. You're bound to get a few bullseyes just by pure dumb luck. Is it prophecy or is it just probability?
This is where the whole conversation pivots, because the documentary we're examining presents a different, much more provocative idea, a theory that it claims has roots in actual, declassified CIA programs.
It's a theory called predictive programming, and the core idea is pretty wild. The claim is that governments or other powerful groups use fiction, movies, TV shows, to introduce ideas to the public. The goal? To psychologically prep us, to soften us up, so that when similar events happen for real, we're already familiar with them. The source connects this idea to old intelligence operations that were all about studying how to control perception.
So here's how it supposedly works, in 3 simple steps. First, you plant an idea in a piece of entertainment. Step 2, over time, that idea just kind of seeps into our collective subconscious. It becomes normalized. And then step 3, when the real event actually happens, we don't freak out as much. The shock is gone. Maybe even our resistance is lower because, hey, we've seen this before.
But for this whole theory to even hold water, the documentary says you have to zoom out. This isn't just about one silly cartoon. It's about a very real, very well-documented relationship between the entertainment industry and agencies in the government.
And get this isn't some fringe idea. This is documented history. The Pentagon has had an official office to work with Hollywood since the 1940s. The CIA opened their own in 1996. We're talking about direct support for thousands of movies and TV shows, with agencies getting to weigh in on scripts to make sure they're portrayed, well, in a positive light. And here's one of the most fascinating techniques the source claims is used, something called a threat scenario workshop. The CIA might go to the writers of a spy show and give them a hypothetical crisis. Then just let them write. Let them brainstorm all the wild ways it could play out. It gives the agency creative, outside-the-box ideas that a typical analyst might never think of.
Okay, so how does this all circle back to The Simpsons? Well, the documentary's argument is basically this. If this whole ecosystem of influence exists, is it really likely that the longest-running, most culturally significant show in TV history is just totally separate from it?
The theory suggests the show's creators aren't outsiders looking in, they're very much a part of that world.
Now, to be clear, the idea isn't that someone's sliding a top-secret folder under the writer's door. It's way more subtle. The source points out that the creator, Matt Groening, has been to exclusive conferences where future tech is unveiled. The writers are almost all from elite universities like Harvard, the exact same places that churn out top-level policymakers and government strategists. They're all breathing the same intellectual air, talking about the same big ideas about the future.
And all of this leads to what is maybe the most important takeaway of the whole thing. Because now, the focus shifts away from The Simpsons, and it lands right back on us, the viewers.
Because here's the thing. In the end, the documentary argues that whether you believe in a giant Simpsons conspiracy, that's not even the real point. The real lesson here is about something much bigger. It's about media literacy.
The actual takeaway is that perception control is a very real thing. It's not science fiction. From old-school wartime propaganda to the way the military looks so heroic in modern blockbuster movies, entertainment has always been a powerful tool for shaping the way we think and feel.
And that leaves all of us with a choice. Are we just the audience, passively consuming whatever's put in front of us, accepting it, and reacting emotionally? Or can we become the observer, someone who actively analyzes what they're watching? An observer asks questions. Why is this story being told this way? Who benefits from me believing this? What's being left out? See, an observer is a whole lot harder to fool. And that's the question the source leaves us with. It's not just about The Simpsons. It's about everything we consume. It's an invitation to shift our perspective, to fire up our critical thinking skills, and to start asking not just what we're seeing on screen, but why it was put there in the first place.